Hi there, everybody. Welcome to the show. Chris Sagaas is our guest. Chris is the executive director at the Utica Public Library. They've got a new children's library down there. We're going to talk about that. They've got some upcoming events. We'll talk about that. But first, we're going to welcome you to the show. Good to see you again.
Thank you. It's great to be back.
You were just reminding me that it's been about a year. I didn't think it's been that long. My goodness.
Yeah, it feels like a couple minutes.
Yeah.
It's been a very exciting year.
And you came in, you were the successor to Darby O'Brien, and it's been really an interesting year or so.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I started last June, and Darby has been a resource for me to rely on. There's so much to learn in your first year on a job: the culture, the staff, the community, people who use the library. What do they want from it?
And that's been changing over the years. Maybe we get a chance to talk about that, the people who use the library, how that's changed, if it has, over the years. But the big thing was the movement of the children's library from the basement up to the first floor, which used to be the reference room.
Yes. We started, the project had been in the works for a few years, the behind the scenes architectural drawings and whatnot. But the idea was to move the children's department from the basement upstairs. In order to do that, we had to move the adult computers. That was the first step of the process. We moved them across the hall into pretty much an empty space. And then that allowed us to basically completely renovate almost half of the first floor, and then have that set up so that we could move the children's department upstairs, all of its contents, computers, hardware, everything else in maybe a day or so. We got that accomplished, so that was fun.
What was the rationale for moving the children's library up there?
It started with the seed for the whole project was Ruth Shaheen was a Utican who left the library almost $300,000 in the hopes that they would move the room upstairs. She felt that she took her kids to story time at the Utica Public Library forever, I think even before it moved to the basement. And then when she knew it was in the basement, she said the kids need to be upstairs. It's a better environment. It's well lit. It's a space that's welcoming. The basement really wasn't, in her mind, the place where the kids should go. That took on, some more people got behind that idea. We secured additional funding from other sources, and then we were able to essentially do the project from February of 18, and it was completed end of May, early June. It was a really quick project once we got everything started.
You had a big grand opening for that too.
We did. Back in early July, we invited, it was a chance for us to thank all of the people, I mean the Shaheen family especially, but Senator Griffo and Assemblyman Brindisi were also instrumental in securing additional funds. M&T Bank, Partners Trust Bank Charitable Fund, and the Community Foundation also helped. All the little things you don't realize that are going to cost extra money, and the good thing is that it's not going to result in any increased costs to the taxpayers who support a good portion of our budget.
The room that the children's library was in is now what?
We actually we're trying to figure out what we want to do with it. What this has really started in motion for the library is looking at all of our public spaces. What do we want to renovate? What can we renovate without spending any money? We currently are identifying that as a space that we'd like to open up for additional public meeting room space. The event that I'm going to talk about in a little bit, we're going to have some people involved with that event downstairs. We're still going to use it for larger group children's activities. The new space is gorgeous and it's fun, it's really fun to be in, but you can't always have a large group of kids doing a program in that space because there's parents and little kids who may not want to be involved with that activity. So it allows us to have more flexibility with the services and programs we offer.
Now, down in the basement, between, for those who are familiar with the library, there's two staircases leading up and down from the basement to the first floor. Yep. And in between those staircases, there's a little small room that over the years I've had a couple of meetings. I've used that room for meetings. Is it being used anymore? Is that still available to the public?
It's still available. We call it our activity room. We anticipate that will also become an additional space. We need to do some touch up in there. That is still going to be a space for people to use, and certainly our staff to provide programming. But yeah, as I was alluding to, we're seeing that there are other spaces that might be conducive to meetings, small group presentations. Sometimes people just want a really quiet place to study. I think the last time I was here, I talked to you a little bit about how we aren't quiet everywhere, but what we're trying to provide to the users of the library is quiet, noisy, in between. Our users, you know, the library has to mirror the culture that it's part of, or else it ceases to be relevant. So we're trying to balance that.
Now, I've also been involved with meetings at the Utica Public Library upstairs on the second floor. I think it used to be called the music room. Am I correct?
The music room is off the larger gallery. The music room is, we actually amped up some of the technological offerings in there because groups like Utica Municipal Housing Authority has started to do some really cool programming in that space. So we have a TV, a computer, so that we can do video conferencing. In fact, I mean, I think there were a bunch of people from the U.S. Army in there today having a meeting. But it's an additional meeting room space that we have more capability than the last time I was here because people wanted to have technical capabilities in that space.
And of course, the big room on the second floor is the gallery.
Yeah, the gallery, we host at least one unique art, one unique art show a month in that space. We probably could open it up to do more, but it takes staff time, and you know, there's relationships involved with art and artists and getting the stuff hung and so on and so forth. We're accepting submissions for our fan art contest right now. I don't believe that is full. That's pop culture related. We call it fan art because it's people who are fans of certain pop culture things. One of the events we're going to host in December for the first time, a Blind Artists Society opening. So we're going to be working with local Lions clubs, CABV, and you know, we're going to try some new ways of using the space. And what we want to continue to show the community is that it's a great space to have events.
Yeah, that's a nice spot up there. In fact, I've been to some concerts in that room.
Yeah, we have a great live music series. I think our next performer is Monk Row in about a month or so. We have had multiple wedding ceremonies in that space this summer. That's opened up some new thoughts about how can we enhance the space to do more than just a ceremony. Could we have a reception in the library? We don't know. Those are the things we're trying to look at. There are a lot of people who love the space as a backdrop for photos, but also for the kind of, I don't want to say sacred, but I will. The feeling you get in that space is an important feeling that we like to preserve and also accentuate.
On your website, I was noticing the other day, there's your picture under the director. You're standing next to a painting. That's a pretty famous painting. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yes, it's one of my favorite paintings of all time. It's the original painting of General Herkimer at the Battle of Oriskany. I want to say Frederick Yone, or maybe I'm confusing it with Frederick Proctor. Anyway, the artist, that painting was gifted to the library by one of the proctors in, I believe, 1927. Every time I bring people in the library, I like to show off that painting. I'm from Herkimer. I was in the General Herkimer Council of the Boy Scouts. Our patch on my uniform was a replica of that painting, so I love it.
That was a postage stamp too, wasn't it?
It was, yes, yeah.
Okay. We'll come back and we'll talk some more with Chris Sagaas. Chris is the Executive Director at Utica Public Library. A lot of stuff going down there these days, including an event upcoming that Chris is going to tell us all about. Short break, right back.